Good morning, all. My name is Brian Oliver, and I am the Director of Admissions at SPIRE Academy and Institute. It is my pleasure to be the general tour guide for the webinar this morning. We're excited to be able to share with you all of the goings-on at SPIRE, our exciting new programming, our new development, and also our programming and plans for the fall of this year. I'll have a chance to share more on the admissions process in a few minutes, but we would like to start off with Rich Odell, one of the school co-directors, who's going to lead us through part of the program overview. Rich?
Thanks, Brian. Good morning, everybody. And behind me, you see one of our three buildings that are part of what we hope might be the future you're considering for your son or daughter or yourself. And best way for us to sort of introduce SPIRE today is to talk about the Academy first. We have two branches, the Academy and the Institute. The Academy is the piece that provides the programming for anyone from age 9 to 99. But today we're going to talk principally about students coming to us in grades 9 through post-grad year and what they will experience in our beautiful setting in Geneva, Ohio. There are four pillars that are part of our program that we feel are all of equal importance to any young person developing and looking for a solid opportunity in their future. Those four pillars are academic. Number one, we are a college preparatory accredited boarding and day school. We're accredited because we are part of another school that is 8 miles up the road called Grand River Academy. Grand River Academy has been around for many, many years, and we are a satellite campus. And we've done this so that we can concurrently get our accreditation over the next 3 years whilst being accredited as a satellite campus of theirs. Our curriculum is not exactly the same as theirs because ours is a more progressive model, as you will hear more about throughout the course of this next 50 minutes. The second pillar that we have is their major. Their major involves what they will spend 3 to 4 hours per day doing, in addition to the 5 hours of academics. My colleague, Ted Mikema, who co-directs SPIRE with me, will talk more about that in a couple of minutes and what that actually involves. The third pillar is one that is integrated in 3 different ways on campus, and it is the personal skill development side. That is a full-fledged curriculum that is engaged and integrated rather into what we teach in the academic program and into what students do in their major. In addition to that, it has components which are offered in the evening for those who are boarding students with us. The fourth component is the one that is probably new to most people when they think about what an educational experience should or could be for a high school student, and that has to do with careers. So 6 weeks after our students are on campus, we will be working with them through college counseling and our faculty to identify the things that they are most interested in as potential career paths. From that, we will identify people in and around the property of the school who have expertise in those arenas. Expertise not just by book knowledge, but by actual practice. And for those students interested in that component, in the evening, there will be coursework that they will do each week for 1 hour to 1.5 hours over the course of the entire year in that field. So for example, we'll use architecture. If you're somebody who likes to draw, or your child does, and you think that they have an interest in architecture, they will get to work with an architect 1.5 hours per week for the entire year, learning and growing and developing the skill sets around what it takes to be an architect. If you come to us as a freshman, you will get to do that for all 4 years. And at the end of the 4th year, you will have, through the 34 weeks of the school year and work that you will do on projects outside, you will have accrued 400 hours in that career path, which makes you an excellent candidate as you think about higher education and the profession of architecture. You are more ready for that than most any other students across the country could be. So those are our 4 pillars, each one of those of equal importance from our perspective to develop a student, a graduate who is really ready to take on life and exceed or succeed in all of their different avenues of interest. As I said, we're fully college preparatory, so we have a curriculum that will meet the needs of a student who is at the top end of the spectrum of learning and a student who might also have some challenges and aspects of what they need to acquire. The diploma that for the next 3 years we will offer is one that is a Grand River Academy diploma, but we are doing our own promotion with universities as to who we are to build out the model and help everybody understand what we're looking to do with the graduates that we provide. As I mentioned, we also have a learning resource program for students who have any kinds of challenges, whether they're language-based learning difference or ADD or ADHD. We have got some great facilities. We're just in the process now of finishing out a 25,000 square foot school facility located in our aquatics center, which is not the building you see behind me, but a building of almost equal size behind it and off to the right-hand side. In there is a facility that is highly designed for today's learner and tomorrow's thinkers. It has a mechatronics lab facility. It has science labs. It also has classrooms. It has full technology utilization that is embodied by everybody, and everything in that facility is movable. There's nothing anchored to the floor in the school, which lets us also do the social distancing at a heightened level at these times, but also gives the opportunity for kids, once we're past this, to be able to work collaboratively in small groups, be it in classrooms or out in the common area, which is the relaxing area, and a facility that we think really meets the needs of all of our students and the needs of our students. We're also building out brand new housing on campus. Those houses are being prepared off-site for us and will be delivered to campus starting on the 14th of August. The foundations are all in for them. They will be set. They will accommodate 12 students to each residence in our Spire Village. That's 2 students to a room with 3 bathrooms, full bathrooms outside of each of the groups of 2 rooms, but students will have full use to any of the bathrooms in the building. There's also a lounge area, and there's also a house parent apartment so that there is full coverage while our students are not on the field or in the classroom or out doing work in the community as part of their overall experience. So with that as an overview, I'll switch over to Ted to talk more about the sports and our specializations, better known as our majors. Ted?
Yep, thanks, Rich. My name is Ted Miekma. I have been working in the camp and academy business for my entire career. So for a number of decades now, I have had the privilege of traveling the world and seeing sports facilities of all kinds. And I must say, Spire is pretty unique and pretty spectacular in a lot of different ways. The core campus is 175 acres. It's just grown now to nearly 300 acres because we've just acquired another piece of property for future expansion. The 3 buildings encompass approximately 750,000 square feet of indoor training and competition facilities. So the building right behind Rich is our field and courts building, which has a full-size turf field and then can accommodate 12 volleyball courts or 5 basketball floors. In fact, we are, next week we'll be receiving, in fact, this week, I think, the new floors have come in. We're going to have a total of 5 hardwood basketball courts being installed right now, along with the one that we had. So that facility is going to be pretty great, and we're excited. We've got a lot of interest in the basketball program, and so having this facility with 5 courts is truly going to be unique. The second building is the indoor track complex. It seats 4,000. It has lots of areas around the outside for field events. On the inside of that is another full-size turf football or soccer field. Outdoor next to that, between the building behind Rich and the indoor, is our outdoor track complex. Has a special throwing stadium, lots of area for field events, big track around a football, soccer, lacrosse turf field. It's lighted and seats up to 10,000. And then the third building is basically the aquatics building with an Olympic-sized pool, another warm-up pool, 4 therapy pools. As Rich said, that's where the academic compound is located. That's also where SPIRE Fuel, our nutritious restaurant cafeteria, is located, and lots of different offices and support facilities, locker rooms, and so forth. The primary sports at SPIRE at the moment for Academy are basketball, swimming, track and field, and brand new this year will be esports, and then a new field called mechatronic engineering, which includes drone work and robotic and emerging technologies. The programming, we're here talking primarily about academies. We have a high school academy, a post-grad academy, and Rich will talk a little bit more later about a new program we've just offered called College Timeout for college athletes who are finding themselves in a situation where their season might be canceled. They're still attending school virtually, but we're offering an opportunity for those athletes to come in and train in these specific sports specialties. In addition to the academy programs, we run a whole series of camps in the summer and now a growing number of camp programs that will be scheduled throughout the year. We run club programs that are regional in nature in the off season, lots of league work and clinic work. The leagues are in volleyball and soccer, along with our other core sports that I already mentioned. Another key component of the SPIRE programming is our performance training center. And that's where the long-term athletic development work takes place. The physical conditioning, the mental conditioning, work on nutrition and hydration. And that's done in conjunction with our coaches and directors in each sport. The head of the Performance Institute, John Wallace, works very closely with each of the coaches to customize a program for the particular athletes so that we're working in conjunction on their sports training, and their athletic development is done in an integrated fashion. The coaches that we have on board, again, I've done this a long time, work with a lot of coaches. I'm very impressed by this crew. They're all very experienced former collegiate coaches, and they're excellent developers of talent. They understand how to improve upon technique. They're very good at preparing athletes for the next level of competition. And they're also the ones who are involved in scheduling the competition. So they know exactly how much to compete, how much to train, what kind of competition we should be facing. Because we train the whole 9-month school year, we're not a part of the Ohio State High School Athletic Association. So we play independent schedules in all of our sports. And then lastly, SPIRE is quite well known as an amazing event host. In our core sports, we've hosted lots of different kinds of tournaments and events for years with the Big Ten, the Big East, the Atlantic 10, NCAA Division 1 and 2, NAIA championships, regional events, Olympic qualifiers. And all that makes this a very unique campus. You've got the combination of the events, you've got the combination of the academy programming, you've got a camp audience, there's regional athletes who can come in the evenings and weekends and train, which means there's a lot of life and a lot of activity, but it's so large that it all can be done in a safe and healthy manner, which again, as we go through this conversation today, we'll talk a lot about the precautions we're taking to protect our staff and our students in these challenging times. Rich, you want to jump back in, or should we turn it to Brian, or we can ask each other some questions or take questions from the people who are listening today?
Sure, I'll jump in here. Again, my role as the Director of Admissions is to help families navigate the application process. I work primarily on the college timeout and the academy applications, and my partner in crime, Lance Basic, who's also the mental skills conditioning coach, handles the camp registrations and applications, and also the daily or weekly day training setups. So combined, we are happy to answer any questions that you may have. You can email us at admissions@spireinstitute.org, or you can reach me directly at boliver@spireinstitute.org. We are going to have the opportunity to answer some questions today. So if you have any questions, you're welcome to put them in the chat bar, which you can access by wiggling your cursor and see it at the bottom there. You can also use the question and answer tab as well. Academy admissions is a fairly straightforward process. We're going to want to talk with you. We're going to want to see a transcript and at least two letters of recommendation, one from an academic, at least one from an academic source. We are also going to have you speak to the passion area or major area specialist at the school, so that you can get a feel for what they are able to do and aspiring to do with each student athlete that is here, and also to make sure that any questions you have about the specific program your son or daughter seeks to train in will be answered by the folks that will be delivering those programs, and not just by the admissions. So we are eager to have about 45 students on campus this fall. We're excited to start the year with that great collection of student athletes from really all disciplines and from all over the world. And we're excited as SPIRE continues to grow, and we hope and plan to have up to 300 students on campus within 5 years of now. So it's a great time to get in, to be a part of the SPIRE community, and to really start taking advantage of a program that's really going to take off. So feel free to answer or ask any questions, or reach out to me directly. And I guess, Rich, if you and Ted, to get us started, could really talk about the COVID protocols and our plans to keep our students safe and our training uninterrupted, that'd be great.
Sure. Well, we worked hard from the beginning with the COVID onset to provide a programming that when we were allowed to reopen, that we were meeting the needs of all of our students and protecting our employees at the same time. So the process and what we have in place today, if you were to come on campus, you go through a screening as soon as you walk in the door from behind a protected glass. Your temperature is taken, you fill out a form to indicate whether you've had any symptoms that might be considered appropriate from the virus perspective. And then assuming that you pass that, then you are banded with a wristband that changes every day, that shows that you have access for that specific day and only that day to the property. Once you're inside, you would also have the opportunity to use Perel and various other things to get yourself in better, feeling more safe, if you will. But also when you're in the buildings, you would know that it is completely clean top to bottom and sprayed, sanitized every night after everybody has left the building. Our bathrooms are cleaned thoroughly every 4 hours. And for mealtime, before and after each meal, all of our dining area, which seats 400 people, is cleaned and prepared for that next meal. So we try to work at that very thoroughly. We also, during the summer programmings, which are just almost wrapping up, that Ted might talk a little bit more about that in a few minutes, but we do take the temperature of all participants 3 times a day to make sure that we are monitoring carefully. We do have a partnership with the Cleveland Clinic, and so they help us if we have any issues with anybody to help in that process of evaluation. We also have an outpatient facility that is nearby and a hospital, should that be needed. We have an isolation room on campus to keep kids quarantined if necessary for short periods of time until either they go home or until a further decision is made about how they need to be treated going forward. So that's our plan. In terms of for the academic year, masks will be worn as they are required for all employees and all people participating in activities right now. Obviously, there are some exceptions if you're swimming, that you're not wearing it while you're doing that, or if you're running track and field, that's not required. Some people are doing that though, and as a protection. And we will keep that enforced. Everyone coming in is required to follow these rules. At the moment, we do not allow parents or other than the participants in the building when any of these activities are going on. And we will intend to keep that as long as necessary to protect all of our students and also protect our staff who are also very conscious of and want to deliver a quality program. But should we not be allowed to do this on campus going forward full time, at least the academic piece of that will continue if students need to go home. We're working with the coaches, and Ted could address this a little bit more about what kind of training we can keep going while they are off campus. Our personal skill development piece would stay in place, as would, as I said, the academics. We're also going to work to maintain the career component of that 4-pillar program that I described earlier. So with that, over to you, Ted. After you take
the other things that is a key part of our program is preparing each athlete for the best possible college path. And so we have a team on staff that's very engaged and familiar with NCAA rules and regulations and handles the whole college placement and programming, so that we start early and work very hands-on with the student, with the family, and through our connections and through our coaches' contacts throughout the collegiate ranks, we have had a lot of success over the years in placing students at the right level of college participation, and often with some type of scholarship assistance. So that is a key part of what we offer. The other thing I should say is our whole philosophy here is training and development and preparing the student athlete for the next level of school and sport and life. We have an excellent talent level that attends, but our number one focus is not on how many games or races or meets we won last week. We are competitive, and we certainly field great teams and individual athletes who do very well in competition, but our focus is more on training and development and not so much what did we win last week. We're really trying to prepare for the next level, and I think everybody appreciates that. Our focus is on the right place. We're looking at preparation for the next stage of their athletic and and academic careers. And so that's a core focus for us, and everybody I think that's come through the program has understood that and felt comfortable that we're helping through this whole process, which can be complicated.
Good, thank you.
Go ahead, Brian.
A question on the college timeout program. Could you describe the training that students would have access to and how that will work?
Yeah, I'll go first, and then Rich can jump in. Now, what we've seen is that certain conferences around the country have either canceled or postponed or suspended certain parts of their athletic programs for certain parts of the year. Unfortunately, there's not one rule that's countrywide, so it varies a lot from state to state, region to region, and campus to campus, conference to conference. But we have seen that there are going to be kids, student athletes who will be attending school virtually, but will not be able to compete or train on campus at their institution. So we have offered the chance for them to come and train with us. We can arrange housing. We certainly take care of the meals. We'll offer the performance training options to them, the physical conditioning, the mental conditioning. And then they'll work with our coaches on the skill development side for schedules that will be customized for the athlete. So it could be as many as 3 hours a day in terms of in the pool or on the track or on the basketball floor. And part of that would include the performance training side. And we typically train 5.5 days a week. We try to keep Saturday afternoons and Sundays off. Those athletes won't have a competitive schedule away from campus like our post-grad kids or our high school kids do, but we expect to have a pretty fair sampling of kids in each sport, and so we'll set up our own kind of internal competition, and a lot of the training that we do is done in a way that it simulates competitive pressure, and so we'll try to keep everybody as sharp as we can for their eventual return to college. So we've just started promoting that program and are getting a fair amount of interest. A lot of college coaches are obviously frustrated that they can't spend the kind of time they want to with their athletes, and so they're looking for kind of an interim home for them. And we're offering this program by the semester. It can be both semesters, but we'll also look at monthly and even weekly settings if the demand is there. We'll try to service it, and we're also trying to keep those programs as affordable as we can, so that we're offering an option for an extraordinary situation where people need help.
I would add to that we're also going to provide space where the students can do their online learning as opposed to staying in a hotel space. There will be, if there needs to be tech support or something, we will have that available also to assist students. Not sure that our faculty or any of our other staff will be good at handling any of the coursework that one needs to do. But for the institutions like Bowdoin and others that have said, no sophomores and no juniors on campus for the semester or the year, other schools that are universities doing the same thing, this is a very viable option to come be with friends, be from your team possibly, or make new friends from other institutions in an environment where everybody can deal with the realities that we're all having to face, with dislocation and an inability to pursue the things that we love to do, and that would be our major or our passion. So we want to support that. We don't know the extent to which college coaches are going to be allowed to have connection to those students while with us, but we are looking into that, as are some of the university athletic directors, to make sure that there is no conflict, there is nothing that would somehow jeopardize a student's participation when they are allowed to go back onto campus.
That's right. I think, Rich, it might be helpful to talk a little bit about the house parent setup in the student village on campus, as well as in the post-grad housing in our off-campus housing, and then also how the college, how we'll arrange college housing, and then the procedures for them to come back on property, which then will have to be very stringent always.
Right. So working backwards, the college students who participate in our Timeout program will follow all the same protocols that I described earlier for our full-time students. Because we are a large complex, we do have a lot of groups that use our facilities in terms of particularly in the swimming arena, but also track and field athletes and basketball players who come in the evening to do things. Everybody has to follow the same procedure in terms of protection from the virus. We also will, as Ted suggested, we will have housing that we've identified. It is in hotels where we are going to take over entire floors and be able to house our college age students in that space. We will maybe have some room on campus for students as well, but that remains to see how large our enrollment is in our high school program. It's growing every day, which is the good news, and families are understanding what protocols in place and feeling comfortable that their child is going to be well protected. We are fortunately small, and so that's a value. We are rural, so that is a value. And kids really don't have to go off campus to get their needs met. In our new housing, excuse me, new housing units, they do have washer and dryer available for the students. As I said, there is a common area. The house parents are people who, some of them are actually athletes who have been performing well in college. One or two of them might actually be Olympians who are looking to come and have the opportunity to train with us while fulfilling responsibilities as a house parent. All of that involves training for that house parent. That includes not just how to manage homesickness with kids who are the high school age or younger that would come for a camp or something, but also to help students understand what it's like living with other people, what it's like to be someone who may have come from an area where they were the top athlete, and they come to our environment and they realize they're not maybe as good as they thought. How do you handle that transition? How do you get them on the straight path to stay focused on their academics and on their major area? House parents will help with that. House parents will periodically get involved in making some goodies in the late evening for the young men and women to sample in terms of cookies or cake or pie or things of that sort, or ice cream. They'll also have the space to cook in those apartments that lets kids have a meal in their residence house if they're having a group meeting. Group meeting occurs one night per week. It is a meeting to talk about subject matter, which goes back to what the personal skill development component is. Each week, the house parent has a topic which they will engage one of the students to participate in developing the program that's going to be shared in a 30-minute window in that house meeting. This is to help students get comfortable with public speaking, get comfortable with dealing with things that might feel foreign to some of them, but we want all kids to feel acclimated and comfortable in the world, and so this is a way to ensure that that happens. It's also the time at which we will, in those meetings, talk about the off-campus responsibilities, in that each residence house in the village will have some local project that they're working on in the surrounding communities to get community time working on community projects and exposure to community businesses, community organizations or municipalities, and presentations about the work that they're doing. All of that fits into the academy side of SPIRE. Touch for a minute on the institute side, which we also think is equally important, not as far developed as what we've been describing in the last few minutes here. But the institute side is intended to attract universities, universities and businesses and not-for-profit organizations who want to work in the area of research about new product development. New products that would be not just for athletes, but products for the home, products for delivery services, products for anything and everything that you can imagine. And we've already got a lot of interest from some universities in wanting to partner with us in this area. Maybe it's even having an entrepreneurial zone on the second floor of the facility over top of the academic area where these different entities would be housed. And our kids having the opportunity to work with them in developing new things, we feel is very important as well. So the Institute side, all about research, all about improving the quality of life for young people, whether it is in athletics or any of the other majors that we might ultimately offer. So while we're focused right now on 5 sport areas, we would see over the next 3 years adding probably another 35 majors. That would be everything from the medical arena to, as I mentioned earlier, architecture, to nutrition, to working in different types of environments, corporate environments, such as leadership, both whether it's in the public domain or in the private corporate domain. We want to build out kids who are better prepared to take on these challenges because the virus may not be the last one for them. Helping them reduce their anxiety, helping them feel better about their preparation for that next step in life is really critical. And SPIRE is intended to be the foundation for all of that and the backbone in the country for giving kids the right ingredients to be successful going forward. Back to you, Brian.
We don't have any other questions.
I've got one more thing, Brian, if you don't mind.
Sure.
So we've talked about a lot, and it's exciting to have the ability and the potential to achieve a lot of these very interesting programs and expansions of the offerings on the SPIRE campus. I don't want anybody to think that everything is already done and then this place is just massive in terms of the amount of traffic flow going through it on a daily basis. Right now, there's a whole new ownership group that acquired SPIRE in December of last year. And Rich and I came on board, Brian as well, just shortly after that. So we're new to this SPIRE 2.0 and are excited to be adding a lot of new elements to it in terms of facilities and programming and sport or different passion disciplines. But at this stage, it's still small and very manageable and is going to be growing, I hope, slowly but surely over the next 5 years, as Brian said, to maybe 300 students in the academy. But this year, between the high school program and the post-grad program, and then a number of collegiates who likely will come in for a period of time, we're talking in the tens, not in the hundreds. So I think that also gives a little bit of a comfort factor to everybody that we can manage, a socially distant, healthy approach. And luckily for us, Ohio has been pretty well managed from the beginning of this crisis. And so, knock on wood, things are, we're in a fairly good space, and we're doing everything we can to stay protected and stay healthy.
Rich, I did get a question that I think I know you will love to answer because you've got these statistics right in your head. But the question is, can you really get into college with a specialization in esports or drones?
And the answer is yes. And here's the example. There are many universities today which are fielding drone teams that are competing much like you would in any other sport. Those competitors are being recruited out of high schools and out of programs like what we are introducing here at SPIRE. And they're being recruited with very aggressive scholarship opportunities because the need for people to fly drones is extensive for many, many different applications that have not even been thought through and worked through at this point. but I'll give you the example of, if you know and familiar with the new technology that UPS is looking at and FedEx for how packages will be delivered to people's homes, you would know that it involves drone pilots. It also involves people designing and developing drones. And that is all of what we will do as part of the SPIRE program. Much the same in the esports arena. While there are a lot of games out there to be played, our program is not simply about playing the game or winning the game, as Ted suggested earlier. It's also about developing and designing. So in our esports facility, there is a virtual reality studio. There is a green room for production. We will eventually, not initially, but we will eventually get into developing music score and doing set design and construction for games that are created on site or helping others develop games. It's part of one of the areas where we have the opportunity to look at the future and what higher ed is looking for. And the person who runs this program for us, Rob Skinnian, is the person who directs the program at a New England university, where they do aggressively recruit students and provide financial assistance and scholarships to be on the team. We will have teams that will go out and compete in this sport like other teams in the more traditional sports. So yes, lots of opportunity out there. It's growing every day with those different universities who realize this might be one of the new upcoming major areas of sport engagement, in that you can do it alone, as opposed to having to be part of a team where, if this virus continues, that close proximity is not as good.
Good, thank you.
Yeah.
Any last words for families that are considering SPIRE? Perhaps what you are most excited about? I think for me, I'm really proud to be a part of a institution that puts innovation to work and is not afraid to try things and to be brave with its programming. And I think it's going to be fun to bring this to life with student athletes in various disciplines, particularly at a time when other institutions are being forced to be more conservative and abandon some of their more progressive educational ideas.
Go ahead, Ted.
I'll go next, yep. So I encourage you to, one, check out spireinstitute.org for more information on everything that we've been talking about. We're building a new website, and phase 1 of it is up. Phase 2, I'm very much aware, is in process right now and will be up within the next couple of weeks. So there's a lot of good information there and more to come. I also encourage you to call Brian, and if we needed to put you in touch with our coaches directly or with one of us, that's very easy to do, and that can be a great way to get questions answered. And lastly, if it's possible, come visit, because it's hard to get a real feel for the place, the people, and the opportunities without getting a chance to walk around the campus and talk to some of the people who deliver the programming on a daily basis. So I would encourage all 3 of those paths to learn more about the opportunity at SPIRE Institute and Academy.
Brian, I see there's another question.
Oh, yes. The question is, where will the high school basketball players be housed?
They will be housed in the new residential units that are being constructed for us right now. Short walking distance from there across the parking lot to the space where the school and where the basketball courts are. So not far away at all. And in getting to those locations where basketball is, you have to go through the school, because that is equally important as the playing of basketball. A couple of things I'd like to touch on before we wrap this up, unless there are other questions. We have not touched on our dining facility, which, if you go to our website and you look at some of the shots that were taken with a drone, which is a person who is one of our instructors in our drone program. If you want to be totally entertained, that would be a place to start. But he took a tour of our dining facility where we prepare all of the food on site. We look to be a nutritious venue that is meeting the needs of students, whether they have dietetic things that we need to be conscious of, or whether they just love good food. We are all about that. I'd also share with you that as a day, what a day looks like for us is our structure. Again, as Ted mentioned, because we'll be on the smaller side starting this program, that we will have the opportunity for kids to have sport first thing in the morning, and then academics and lunch and a little more academics in the afternoon, getting into full 5 hours, and then sport training for the balance of the afternoon up until dinner time. Now, there is in the evening study hall and the career program that takes it to 9:30, and then the kids have an hour free from 9:30 to 10:30, lights out, people to bed at 11, so that they're up and ready for breakfast the next morning, which opens at 7 a.m. or 6:45. So it's a full day, it's a full program. But when you want to create people who excel, then you need them to have a full plate. And that is part of what we do, but it's a balanced plate that's going to help each child achieve what their potential is and more. And a team of people designed and trained and experienced to deliver to each student individually. What we believe very firmly at SPIRE is you don't come to us to meet our expectations. You come to us to work collaboratively to create and exceed your expectations. And that's what the program and the people are charged to do at SPIRE. And we sincerely hope that you will think about us very thoroughly right now, and that you will either come to campus or reach out to Brian or contact any of us if you've got further questions. Thanks for your time today, and stay healthy.